Hello and welcome to Odds on CONMEBOL Matchday 5 qualifications for the World Cup in Mexico, in the US and in Canada. And we have Leo Bachanian to analyze all the games, our eyes or my eyes. Of course, I know that for you is in the Rio de la Plata in that derby,
Yes.
but for me it's very interesting Brazil after the last international break and perhaps there is a crisis in the Canariña.
We will see, Edu, yes, but very interesting games, yes, of course. My eyes will be on Argentina, Uruguay in La Bombonera, but Colombia, Brazil is a pretty good one as well. I absolutely agree with you, yes.
We saw Brazil losing against Uruguay. We saw them drawing at home against Venezuela. So plenty of surprises in the last international break in October. Let's analyze everything. Remember, guys, as always, leave your comments, press the like and subscribe. And now let's go on with the show. And as well, remember that we have an exclusive offer with 1xBet. So if you register with our promo code, you have 130% in your welcome bonus. A pretty good offer, perhaps to use it in the first game, Bolivia, Peru, although this one is a tricky one. The worst two teams in South America right now, Bolivia, 0 points, all defeats. Peru, 1 draw, 3 defeats, but no goals scored. We know that La Paz is not anymore a fortress, Leo, but who is going to put their money in Peru also with a lot of problems with being unable to score a single goal?
Yes, Edu, but let me start with something you mentioned. I don't know for how long we could keep talking about the altitude of La Paz as a weapon of football distraction for Bolivia, because they have lost 4 consecutive home games so far in the Stadium Hernando Siles. The last time they grabbed 3 points at home for a World Cup qualifier, that was in November 2021, when they won 3-0 against Uruguay. Then when you zoom out and you see a bigger picture, which includes not only World Cup qualifiers games, but also friendlies, you will find that the road is immense, because Bolivia counts only 1 victory in the last 15 matches with 13 defeats. For this November double round of fixture, they won't have the Argentinian Gustavo Costas as manager. He is the second Argentinian coach to be fired since qualifying began, alongside Guillermo Barros Echelotto in Paraguay. Costas was in charge in 10 of those 15 matches I mentioned before, and was in the bench for 8 of those 13 defeats. The new manager is the 54-year-old Brazilian Antonio Carlos Zago. Zago already has experience in Bolivian football, Edu. He was in charge of Bolívar for almost 70 games between 2021 and 2022. His last job was in charge of Coritiba in Brazil, but he's not alone in this reshuffle, because with him also arrived Julio Valdivieso, one of the heroes of the Bolivian football, who played at the World Cup in 1994. He comes as a director of football. I mean, but to have experience in Bolivian football, I don't know how much will help Zago, to be honest, because Costas has also had many years managing in the country and did not go well. But for me, it seems like Valdivieso is there in case things do not go for the best in terms of result for Zago. In October, they were very poor, first with Ecuador at home and then away in Asunción, where they lost, yes, only 1-0, you could say. But I watched the game, and Paraguay should have won that one for 5 goals, to be honest, Edu. For Peru, things aren't looking much sharper. Yes, you mentioned 3 defeats, 1 draw so far. With Argentina and Lima, they managed to stay a little bit in the game until the Albiceleste opened the scoreline with Messi. Paolo Guerrero had a good game, almost scored. But with Peru is this: they almost score, but they do not score. And many in Peru now, they want to see La Padula, who is back from injury, in the starting 11 instead of Paolo Guerrero. I think that Universitario player, 22 years old, very good one, Piero Quispe, who won La Liga 1 in Peru this weekend, should also get a place in the starting 11. Peru haven't scored yet in the qualifiers, but Bolivia only scored twice so far, having played 2 games in the altitude of La Paz. In this context, Edu, it's difficult for me to see goals here. I would go for goals under 2.5. We have odds of 1.70, quite decent there. Also, a double chance for Peru, which has similar odds, 1.72. And at some point, I leave it there, but it's difficult not to be tempted, maybe for a Peru win here, ridiculously high return of 3.78. But it doesn't look like to me that the game is gonna fall for either side to win it.
To be honest, Leo, seeing the odds for this show, I think it's way better to go with the underdogs in this show than with the favorites, because the odds are very high. It's
absolutely
very tough. These CONMEBOL qualifiers, we see in the first game, Bolivia 2.2. I guess we shouldn't consider them favorites against Peru with 3.7. Same case is the next game, Venezuela, Ecuador. We have Venezuela 3.4 for them to win. Ecuador 2.4. So really favorites the Ecuadorians. Of course, on paper, they could be favorites if we look at the roster. But Venezuela, they are doing great. 7 points. They had probably the best international break ever in the previous one, destroying Chile. We saw Soteldo in a star mode. The historic game against Brazil, getting a point. They've never played a World Cup, Leo, being played also in the US, where many Venezuelans live. I think they could dream being there, especially if they get another positive result in this game.
Absolutely. I mean, it's difficult to tell them not to dream with this start, because this has to be the sweetest moment for Venezuelan football in a long time, having won 7 points out of possible 12 with trips to Colombia and Brazil included. On Saturday, look, they won in their debut on the under-17s World Cup in Indonesia on a weekend where, for example, Brazil and Argentina lost their games, and Venezuela under-17s, they won. So everything's like, it's like smiling for Venezuelan football at the national level, at least. If the 1-0 against Paraguay at home on match day 2 was good, what to say for the demolition of Chile, 3-0 on match day 4. Jefferson Soteldo, outstanding, scoring 1, assisting 12 for Salomon Rondon and Darwin Machis to score.
Is he really that good as we saw him in that game? Because I immediately Googled him and it's like, what is he playing? Is he that Santos, good? Because he looked like a mini Hulk.
Well, look, the next line was going to be about, for me, is he talented? Yes, he's a very talented player. You've seen highlights of him playing against Chile with Santos standing on top of the ball, doing these kind of things. But the problem with Soteldo, and I believe that will happen with him his whole career, is like he could have 1-2 very good games, and then you won't hear a thing about him for the next 2, 3, or 4 months. Actually, when you look at his stats on the national team, you will see that, I mean, he should have, for the talent he has, he should have more goals and more assists, because so far he has 2 goals and 4 assists in 24 games in all competitions for the Vino Tinto. And 2 of those 4 assists were in the last game against Chile. So yes, he's a player of highlights. So far, he's a player of highlights, but still, the talent, to be honest, is there. And Fernando Batista, the manager, is like starting to trust a core of players. Last time for the match day 3 and 4, he called 28 players. This time he called 27. Only the Joseph Martinez, the striker of Inter Miami, well, ex-striker of Inter Miami, because now he doesn't have a club. That's why he wasn't called for this match day 5 and 6. But the rest, the other 27, are exactly the same that Fernando Batista called to play against Brazil and against Chile. Rafael Romo, definitely first choice as a goalkeeper. The back 4, you could recite it by heart, with Alexander Gonzalez and Miguel Navarro fullbacks, Jordan Osorio and Wilker Angel as a center backs. The midfielders are not, I wouldn't say like it's a great midfield that Venezuela has, but they combine characteristics which they supplement each other. So then you have Yangel Herrera, Jose Martinez, Eduardo Becho. They're all complementary players. And then up front, you have Salomon Rondon. Yes, he's 33, getting to 34 years old, but he's still scoring in Argentina, playing for River and with the national team as well, like he's done against Chile, as I said. Soteldo, and then you have Samuel Sosa, who is a quite versatile kind of striker. And Ecuador arriving with a mixed feelings, I would say, because the 0-0 in Quito with Colombia was seen at some as a missed opportunity to get the 3 points. But the reality is that they were lucky because Luis Diaz missed a penalty in the second half. In the first half, the VAR also disallowed a goal from Diaz too. And as much as we mentioned, I've been saying this as well, that Ecuador is enjoying a golden generation. In attack, there is no young element that could replace so far Ener Valencia, who is 34 years old. I can't see anyone who could replace him with the same level of efficiency, because Kevin Rodriguez scored against Bolivia, but he had a very flat game against Colombia. Then Kendry Páez, he's only 17 years of age, so he shouldn't be carrying too many expectations. And also there is no renewal in the goalkeeper area, because Alexander Dominguez and Hernan Galindez are both 36 years old. The last 3 times they face each other in Venezuela for a World Cup qualifier, Edu, they share a win apiece and a draw. As with the case of Peru in La Paz, we have here, for me, with high odds for a Venezuelan win, 3.45. I do expect goals here, goals over 2 at least, goals over 2, show odds on average of 1.93, and Venezuela to score first, 2.38.
All right, Ecuador lost on the road to Qatar. In Venezuela, high odds for the Vino Tinto, but very risky as well, going for the full-time market. The lower odds in the lowest odds that we are going to see in this show is for the World Cup winner to win. Argentina 1.5 only to beat Uruguay, although it's not that bad, to be honest, playing at home. Argentina still to concede a goal. And the big thing, Leo, is also seeing Bielsa against Argentina. Of course, Uruguay coming from that great victory against Brazil with Darwin Núñez, that he's being heavily criticized in Liverpool for missing so many chances. Then he put the Celeste and he scored a beauty against Brazil.
Yes, it was a very good game for Uruguay against Brazil. They won after 22 years against the Verde Amarela, so we don't need to talk anymore about Recoba, Fernando Magallanes. No, now we can talk about Darwin Núñez and Nico de la Cruz. They finally got a win against Brazil. They suffered, of course, because Brazil is always Brazil. But in the second half, to be honest, they justify the 2 goals lead. We are going to see a Marcelo Bielsa side that is going to La Bombonera to play, I believe, on the front foot, placing a lot of importance on recovering the ball high on the pitch. If they play with a defensive approach, the chances of getting something won't be as good as Bielsa recognized it on Friday on the press conference. I'm not saying that they will dominate the game, because you depend on what the opposition does, but Uruguay has the tools, has the players set to not to take exaggerated precautions that could maybe hinder their own virtues, which is controlling the ball and being vertical very quick after recovering it. So the only element that could trigger maybe some unconscious caution is Uruguay has 8 players with a yellow card, which they could miss the next fixture if they get a yellow one in Buenos Aires. But then you have the return of Lucho Suarez, to the squad. He's scoring regularly, and he's absolutely influential for a Gremio side that is fighting for the title in Brazil, although yesterday they lost 1-0 to Corinthians, and now they are like trailing Botafogo 4 points. But he actually scored a hat-trick against Botafogo a few days ago. There is also the return of Rodrigo Bentancur after almost 9 months. Is back in the Premier League and playing for Tottenham. Darwin yesterday, he didn't score for Liverpool, but he assisted Mo Salah. And for me, Edu, as much as he can get criticism because he missed a lot of opportunities, yes, it's true, but he has something for me which is very valuable in a striker. He can create his own goal opportunities. But yes, he should be scoring more, absolutely. But if you're a defender, I think it's almost hell to deal with Darwin. And for Argentina, Edu, we have the return of Di Maria, the return of Paulo Dybala. Finally, he didn't get injured before Matchday with Argentina. He played yesterday against Roma against Lazio in the derby, 0-0. It's fine, no injuries as much as I know so far. Garnacho, he's not in the squad this time. Edu, you might know better because we have a surprise call in the name of Pablo Maffeo, the Mallorca's fullback. he's an aggressive. To be honest, I haven't seen him play a lot, but I could see that he's aggressive defender. I saw how he played against Vinicius and against Real Madrid, and maybe
he became famous also because of his
in that game.
Well, Vinicius,
and maybe it was in Scaloni's mind, because let's remember, match day 6 is Brazil-Argentina. So maybe for Scaloni, he was thinking of Pablo Maffeo again, needed to meet Vinicius. Gonzalo Montiel was called, but he's injured. That's why they opened the opportunity for Pablo Maffeo, who anyway, a year ago he said, I was looking at the video, like he was going to be so proud if he was called by La Roja, by the Spanish side, but now he's so proud that he was called for Argentina. So come on, Pablito, make your mind. But it's okay. I would have liked to see Cano, in the Fluminense striker, but he didn't get a call again. He won the Copa Libertadores with Fluminense. He was the goal scorer with 13 goals. But of course, the spot is well covered with Julian and Lautaro. But at the same time, I can see something in Argentina, Edu, you will agree. Argentina in the qualifiers, most of the games, they have merits to end up 4-0 maybe the game, but they're only winning by a single goal margin. So, but at the same time, 24 consecutive games scoring at least one for Argentina. I still see Argentina as favorites here. Again, a low scoring match, I believe. First half draw, odds of 2.29 is my first pick, Edu, and goals under 2.5, odds of 1.90.
Well, Maffeo, he was born in Barcelona, playing for Girona, for instance, also in the squad of Man City, and Garnacho is also Spanish-born in Madrid, in this case, both playing for Argentina. Great Derby de la Plata. I believe, Leo, is going to be an interesting weekend in Argentina going towards the summer. There, with elections, with Brazil around the corner, with Uruguay, is going to be an interesting weekend or week in Argentina. Well, next game, let's go to the heat of Barranquilla, Colombia, Brazil. What a game with Brazil having a really terrible international break in October, not only for the defeat against Uruguay, for the draw against Venezuela, but also, of course, losing Neymar. On the good side is that Vinicius and Rodrigo scored at the weekend. They look happier. We are going to see Hendrik, a player that, of course, I really want to see. With the Verde Amarela, Leo, and Colombia probably playing well, not getting the results they deserve. Probably they deserve more points.
Yeah, actually, Edu, when I mentioned Ecuador, I said that Colombia could have won it, and Luis Diaz miss a penalty. And I think, Edu, they can be confident for two reasons. I mean, the cafeteros. Because they saw that Venezuela managed to draw away with the Verde Amarela, and the Uruguay got the 3 points in Montevideo. So that's the first reason why they could be confident. Why not? And also because they are showing to be in the right path with Néstor Lorenzo. They didn't have an easy start against Ecuador. Some were like thinking, I could see the ghost of that horrible first half that Colombia had in Quito in November 2020, which was the beginning of the end for Carlos Queiroz on that time. But Colombia mostly then during the game improved. They improvised with Gerson Mosquera as a winger, and that's when Ecuador tried to take the advantage. But then Lorenzo read the game pretty well, and out of possession, he changed things. He started to play with three center backs, with John Arias as the Fluminense player as a winger on the right. It's a shame that for Arias, he saw a yellow card, so he won't be present in the match on Thursday against Brazil. Another Arias, Santiago Arias, is also out in this case, injured, and Lorenzo have just called Jeremina. A big doubt is James Rodriguez, who didn't even make the bench yesterday for Sao Paulo in the Brasileirao. He will be assessed today in Colombia. We'll see if he has something to play or not against Brazil, but he was as well very good in match day 3 and 4 for Néstor Lorenzo's team. The good news is that Luis Diaz is present, will be present for sure. He will get a standing ovation as it happened yesterday in Anfield. There were voices in Colombia that were asking for the Cafeteros not to fulfill the fixture if Luis Diaz's father was not released. But as we all know, last Thursday came the good news of the end of his kidnapping. For Brazil, is far from being an ideal start of this qualifying campaign. In Montevideo, they had chances. They always had chances with Vinicius. who could have scored with the game still 0-0, but the second half was actually poor, Edu, very, very poor. Now Fernando Diniz, who just won the Libertadores with Fluminense, is without, you said Neymar, yes, but also without Casemiro. There is no Richarlison, also injured like Casemiro. There's no Lucas Paqueta either. Paqueta is having a fine season with West Ham, but there is an investigation still pending on him regarding football bets, so the Brazilian Federation is not allowing Diniz to call him. The expectation is on the possible debut of Hendrik. I want to see him. He received his first call, and to be honest, yes, I would like to see him play against Colombia, not against Argentina, okay? And Diniz said that Hendrik is a player who has the potential to be a great talent, but he thinks he's still too young to make to assure that he's going to be a good one, a great one in the future. I don't know. Every time I'm seeing him play for Palmeiras, he's doing great things. So Real Madrid has, again, as they have done with Vinicius, spotted the right player. Not like Barcelona that went for Victor Roque. And believe me, Victor Roque is here and Hendrik is here. It's a massive difference. So well done for Florentino again. Hendrik is 2006. He was born 2006, the youngest player to be called for the Verde Amarela since the good Ronaldo in 1994. He scored 11 goals in 47 games with Palmeiras in 2023. His best performance was just days ago against Botafogo when he scored a brace. So I really want to see him play, to be honest. So again, high odds for Colombia to win here, 3.75. I will go for the first half Asian handicap plus 0.25 for Colombia, odds of 1.65. And also I do both teams to score, odds of 2.20 for this game.
You know, Leo, that Real Madrid have in the board a person called Juni Calafat, a very important person for the scouting market, a personal friend of Ronaldo Nazario, Kaká, Luis Fabiano, and having these connections help him, of course, knowing all the Brazilian market. Once upon a time, he was a commentator for the Brazilian league, so that's why Real Madrid are fishing cleverly in the Brazilian market thanks to this person, Juni Calafat. Let's see how he does, how Hendrik does with Brazil. 9 goals scored in the Brasileirão with Palmeiras. So far, what a game, this Colombia-Brazil. Before, we have the Brazil-Argentina that we are waiting for. And the last game is Chile-Paraguay. This is a very interesting one because probably it's a direct clash, Leo, to qualify for the World Cup. Right now we have Paraguay, is very early, of course, only 4 games, but we have Paraguay and Chile both with 4 points. Paraguay struggling to score, only 1 goal to score. Chile, they had so many problems in renewing the squad, as you are telling us. Which team should we back here? With Chile probably 2 favorite, in my opinion, for going for them. Only 1.9 for Chile to win. For me, it's a bit too low.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a very cagey game, Edu. They struggle to score. Yes, we have Chile when in Matchday 3 they won against Peru at home, scoring twice, but they were so poor against Venezuela away. To be honest, and okay, on the road to Qatar, we saw a very poor Chile as well. But even within that context, I haven't seen them playing lacking absolutely everything as it happened with the Vinotinto. They lack character and football. The character playing at home could be recovered. I can give you that, but I doubt that they will recover the football because I wouldn't know where to start looking to find it anyway. The only player that seems to know what's going on is Alexis, but can you rely every single time on him? I don't know. Can you rely in Diego Valdez in attack? No, you can't. Can you expect Ben Brereton, the Villarreal player, to do something close to resemble a striker? No, you cannot expect anything. Can you expect Gary Medel not to be involved in a fight every 5 minutes? No, of course you can't. Can you expect Charles Aranguiz to dig deep and maybe find his best form? I have doubts, and I really like him as a player, Charles Aranguiz. I think he's a very good midfielder, but again, for many months with the national team, we haven't found his level. Could Dario Osorio be a good partner for Alexis? Based on this weekend, maybe yes, he scored his third goal in European football, but based on the 70 minutes he played against Venezuela, I'm more inclined to think that the answer is no also for Dario Osorio. So I don't see Chile being favorites here. We have odds closer to 5 for an away win. Paraguay struggles to score. Yes, of course, we all know that. They managed only a 1-0 against Bolivia, although, as I mentioned before, they deserve much more. And that was their only goal in the campaign so far. But it's true that they have conceded just 2 goals at the same time. So what I see, Edu, is like I see more cohesion in the Albirroja. It's going to be a tense match, as it was with Peru the last time Chile played at home. That's why I said, I repeat, I imagine a very cagey game, not many goal opportunities for either side. So here I will pick first half goals under 0.5, odds of 2.48, and we'll also pay attention to a clean sheet for Paraguay. It comes with high odds, yes, 3.75, but a clean sheet for Paraguay, knowing how hard it is to score against them, it doesn't sound to me crazy, although high odds. I said 3.75.
It's normal that you go for a cagey one. Paraguay, only 1 goal scored, only 2 goals conceded. So I guess we all expect a low scoring game. There is only one more date in this match day, in these qualifiers, before we go into a long break, because the qualifiers don't return until September. But of course, we have on Monday another video, Leo, to analyze, for instance, the Brazil-Argentina. In the meantime, let's finish the video with your safe bet.
Safe bet, Edu, first half double chance for Paraguay, 1.50.
And your ACCA?
The ACCA is, I'm using the safe bet, first half double chance for Paraguay, then first half Asian handicap of plus 0.25 for Colombia, and goals under 2.5 in Argentina, Uruguay. This leaves me with a total ACCA of 4.70.
Our guru in South American football has talked. Everyone loves you, Leo, because you give us a lot of insights, good information, good knowledge with these CONMEBOL qualifiers, always really entertaining. Thanks again,
My pleasure,
Leo Bachanian. See you on Monday with another video for this match day 6. Bye-bye.